Hello, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Mirko. It is episode 89. I cannot believe that we've managed to get to the 89 episodes, something that just started thanks to the pandemic. So I'm super proud and grateful for the journey. So today, episode 89, we go to Austria, stopping by in Peru actually. But yeah, we actually have an amazing. Today's episode is going to be cracking, but we got a surprise for episode 90. And there's a reason why. We're going to make it special, the 90th. But today is special too. There's no 90 without 89. So we'll be joined soon by Junior Vargas, and we're going to have an amazing chat. And as usual, if you have questions, drop them below. If you're new, welcome. This is a Coffee with Mirko. And I look forward to chat with all you all. And if you enjoy, just take a screenshot and feel free to share this our podcast. It's available on most podcast platforms. But without further ado, I see that Junior is in town, and I'll say hi to everybody, and I'll jump in with him. Here we go. Good morning, guten Morgen, buenos dias.
Buenos días, guten Morgen. And good afternoon over there, no? More or less.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 5 p.m. on the clock. How are you? Is it Junior or Junior?
As you wish. Everyone calls me in the way they want. Like in South America, is Junior. Like English version is Junior, and
We stick with the roots. Junior, thank you so much for coming in. Super good. It's episode 89, and it's just super cool that we can just share this moment. And first and foremost, thank you. Second, how are you? How's your family with this interesting situation?
and thank you for inviting me and considering me to be part of this movement you are doing. So I'm really grateful to be here, to be honest, and also see the amazing job you are doing with all the time and effort invested, which means a lot.
Thank you, man.
Well, I think the situation is it's quite the same impact for everyone. In some countries are worse than the other ones, and here with the family, it's quite good. I mean, Austria in Europe is it's a country who supports very good to the could be to the business, could be to the family. So I've never heard someone who suffered about incoming or something like that probably. So it's quite good, healthy, and the community is doing well. But yeah, it's doing well so far.
Okay, it's good to hear, man. And just for some context, Junior, could you kindly tell us a little bit more about how did you start your coffee journey, and be of the steps in between?
Um, I mean, it's I'm originally from Peru, as you know already. I have my family who has coffee farm, so until I was 15, probably I had still coffee farms with my family. So I was born, raised, and grown in a coffee farm. So my connection to coffee comes already since I was child. And then I started working in gastronomy a little bit, hotels. I was working like almost 5 years in cruise ships as well around the world. And yeah, and then the interest of gastronomy came more into me, and I would say probably 10 years ago I started the specialty coffee going through my mind a lot, and I remember specific dates where I realized how potential could be coffee, and also by the time I was into coffee, I realized that there's more just than business, and also like make as a passion, and I started like a career to build, to study, and to travel around and learn. So I realized that the more I learn, the more I travel, the more I get information, the more I dive into this specialty coffee world. And I needed this knowledge to help people at the back as well, which is the farmers. Now I'm working with some family, friends, and back at home, a little bit improving quality. It could be like new varieties, process, or a little bit of information. So that's where my coffee journey started when I was 10.
And what made you go, what, I'm gonna pack it all and go from from Peru to Austria? Because obviously it is a big trip, but also quite a big change considering language, climate. I'm sure there's some sort of visa issues because when you migrate to a different continent, there's always that. How was it, and how did you go about adapting from Peru to Austria?
Yeah, I believe you can find anywhere in the world something you love to do it. So I think everybody has this special, specific thing that in some part of your life you will find it. And I already had some business in Peru back then, in like 5-6 years ago, and I really knew that coffee is my path, and through coffee I can chase whatever I want to achieve there. And I had my son who was coming up in the world like 4 years ago, and they had to move to Austria. So I decided to come here to pursue my dreams, pursue my passion also. But the main purpose was my son. So that's the way I started. And I believe anywhere in the world, doesn't matter which part of the world is, I think you can pursue your passion and your beliefs. And yeah, that's what I did. And Europe is more open for opportunities. It's close to every event that the coffee community could organize, and I have grown a lot, and I'm grateful that the community took me in a really nice way. So I mean, German was a little bit hard to start up, but it was not that difficult. I mean, at the end, I love language, so it was one of my challenge probably before coming here.
What about the cold weather? Because I'm opposite of you. I left Italy, but I'm on a town which is super close to Austria. We're like an hour and a half driving from to maybe 2 hours to Innsbruck. And I came all the way to Australia, but I know how cold it gets up there. Did you adapt with that one?
Yeah, that's something I didn't like the first time I came, like as a tourist only, like 2013 probably. Yeah, I mean, I'm from Peru all the way south as well, so it's very tropical weather. We don't have winter like that unless you're in highlands, and that was a big impact for me. But I knew already the weather because I was working in Alaska for a while, so that was really cold. But here was like living here, and you will have that season. I get used to very easy. I mean, I know in Australia, I don't know how it is, but you don't have calefactions like for winter, like you don't have heaters. And in South America, it's the same. You don't have heaters. Just put some clothes at night and sleep. But here, everywhere where you go, it's with calefaction or heating. So it's quite good. I mean, I can't complain.
Well, first, you just got a big compliment here. One of the great humans in coffee, absolute rock star and an even better person. So thanks for that, Ozzy in Prague, for saying that.
Oh.
And well, it's interesting because I think a lot of people want to do that. They might be in countries that they are slightly disadvantaged, or the coffee career there might not be able to provide for their family. What would you sort of recommend to people who may be thinking about making such a big move? Because I'm thinking straight away, it's like visa, language, but also what city, what country do you choose, and based on what reasons around it. So based on your experience, I think that we can sort of talk about this actually for a while, but keep it short, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a choice, a chance, and it's just sometimes to take the right chance to do the right choice. Um, I don't know. Life just gives you these little hints to choose the right path and which country to go and how to support. But more than that is to find your path, find your passion, and how do I find my passion? I always tell to my baristas, yeah, you need to find your passion, and there are steps to find your passion. But nothing comes without hard work, dedication, commitment, and then really focus on those things where I really stick on, and it works. I mean, it's really important to be well disciplined for all those things to achieve anything, any part of the world. And I think nobody got success in this world without hard work and dedication.
For sure, for sure. I think I also think that you can be quite strategic. I think there's probably there should be a little bit of an amount of research, I suppose, around your average wages in what city. You know, I think Melbourne, where I live, is super, you know, very good for baristas. You know, you can really have quite a good life and good lifestyle. And versus, I'm thinking back in my country where baristas still, the salary might be a little bit tricky. So that's what I was saying. I think there's an importance to that. But yeah, for sure. Look, dedication will be always recognized, and I think probably if you're super committed, competition will put you on a stage as well to be able to be seen by people. So you might be getting calls from certain roasters or certain companies around the world. So obviously that's another aspect. But yeah, no, dedication for sure. I've been reading a book, and they've calculated that to master something you need to do practice 10,000 hours of it.
Yeah, and this is the
So
funny thing that
yeah,
man, like I don't know. I think I heard yesterday you talk with Wojciech. I think like um, everybody dies, and but few truly lives. So I mean, whatever you meant, like this, uh, it doesn't count how long you live. It counts if you enjoy this time you live and what have you done there. And in this process of to achieve anything, what you said, you need to master 10 hours. Sometimes it's the achievement is not the goal, but this 10,000 hours. That's the main purpose, probably what you're gonna remember. And yeah, I mean, in different countries, different. I don't know. In Peru, it's not considered a profession being a barista, and it's, in some countries, it's like any another waiter probably. But it depends of each of them. Like you need to look for a place where you're like people needs to give you a sense of belonging, sense of that your life and your work has more value than the physical work you are doing. So give value to people and give value for yourself, or create value, and that value will bring you more up. I mean, nobody will offer you more money, more so much job if you don't create value for yourself or value for the community. So I think the main purpose of any business as well is the first rule is create value.
yeah, 100%. And I think especially when it comes to when you live in that country, because then you know you're familiar with your surroundings, you know what you are, where you are, what you're doing, and I think that that probably comes almost a straight consequence once you make the big move. I think at the beginning, I'm not sure about you, but my experience was a bit, you know, at the beginning it's like survival mode. It's like, okay, you know, from the basics, okay, where am I? Don't get lost around town, and understanding the culture. I mean, easier to understand, you know, similar culture than others, obviously. But and then the language, like you say, German. I've studied 15 years of German in school, and I barely remember any words. It wasn't my forte, but anyway, we can skip that for. And so, at what stage you decided I want to compete, and what does competition mean to you?
Um, yeah, I mean, being a barista is amazing. Like making coffee, serving, creating something experience for the customers. It's beautiful to have those feedbacks. And as I mentioned before, there are many ways to create experience, to create value, and one of them is competitions. And in the coffee world nowadays, it's very narrow. It's like really, it's still a big community, a big market in the world, but the specialty coffee, like third wave or whatever, if you want to make a career in this, it's very tough. And competition is one of the, I would say, challenge way to achieve value, not in a short time, but in the most highly and sophisticated way. I would say that you can show everything what you can do, and also it's a way to improve yourself. Like if you need to compete, you need to train in advance, and this training you don't do it like if you don't have to compete. So it's a challenge for yourself. It's a process to learn and to improve yourself. So competition means to me just improving myself, challenging myself, and also I do all this to create value for myself, for the people, for the community, and use this value to create an impact in the community that I am surrounded, and also to inspire people and be inspired by people who I met on this journey as well.
Yeah, and I love it, and I think this word keeps coming up in these interviews, people competing, which is the process, I think. And I really like that, because I think that talent itself will get you this far. I think a lot of people sometimes use the word talent a little bit as a mixed bag. I don't want to say excuse, but kind of as like, well, he's talented. I don't think so. I think that I was talking about football players recently, and I look at, I mean, I know that we're talking about coffee, but are you familiar with football? I'm assuming, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay. I think like someone like the old Ronaldo, probably his talent is, much bigger than Cristiano Ronaldo, but, and mind you, I go for Inter, so I should say Ronaldo, but reading interviews and stories, he was not very dedicated in the process of training. So he was just like good. Versus Cristiano Ronaldo, there's so many stories around him that a little bit maybe too much, like psycho level of training, where he's like every hour of the day is training. Maybe it's a bit too much, but I think that enjoying the process is what really is the key of getting to where you want to go. And then obviously, again, the same book that I've been reading that I mentioned before, there is an element of environment and luck, meeting the right person, having certain things accessible to you. And sometimes the year or the month that you're born in has an impact in your life. It's not an excuse, but it is what it is. So even Bill Gates, there's an interesting backstories about Bill Gates, where obviously he's there's a lot of rumor around him at the moment, but he became who became also because there was this special centralized computer only half an hour away from where he was living, and they allowed him and another 3 or 4 to play with it. Versus someone else might have been born with the same brain on the other side of America and not being able to utilize that. So there's also that element. But yeah, I think enjoying the process when it comes to competition is key.
Yeah, definitely. That it's very interesting what you mentioned on nowadays with this third wave and this new hipster generation. They consider many things, and many things are not being considered or not taken in the right way. Probably, like you mentioned, luck is another thing. Why he was very luck, and or talented. Talent will give you a win probably a little bit, and effort is what you're gonna give you this step to the first place, to the second, or what to the top, probably not. And I don't know, I read somewhere else like this says, you don't have to be the smartest or the fastest. You just need to get or be better than the smartest. So talent will give you this talented, but if you work harder for that event, I mean, the effort you will do it will give you this extra point and give you forward probably.
Yeah, yeah. And kind of coming around that topic, it's like a good quote. I always forget how he said it, but to build the tallest building in the city, it's not about knocking down the other ones. Yeah, so I think that's another part, because we tend also to do that sometimes, whether it's competition, whether it's business, and yeah, it's an interesting concept for sure. And in terms of competition, obviously, I mean, you've been back to back first place in Austria. You were planning to do obviously the Worlds, but that didn't quite happen. And how has it been? How has it been in the past few months? Like, have you been practicing? What's going through your head? Like what's happening in the competition world as far as you go, as far as practice goes?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you said, but I was competing for 3 years already this time. So 2018, I was in Amsterdam. So I was very impressed with all the performance, everything. But then a year later, I watched again the video and I was very not disappointed. I was like, wow, as I made big mistakes and I was walking like crazy. Like I would be at home, just losing so many seconds. And I learned a lot from that. Then the second year, I trained for the nationals. I won again, and I went to Boston. Boston was great. I correct many mistakes and I improved many things, and I had a really nice team as well. And I went to the semifinals, which was great for my second Worlds, the second year competing in general. And yeah, I was really, really amazing. And this year in January I compete, but I didn't win this year. So my friend Madeline won, and he was preparing himself for Australia, but as you know, it didn't happen. So he's looking forward for Athens now. So I'm looking forward to his performance. He's really nice and really professional, dedicated guy. I have really big expectations, but yeah, that's it. So this year I'm just training for myself and working and looking forward for the next competition. So I will keep competing probably for the next year, so until I achieve something.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And how is it like? Because mentally it must be difficult to sort of training for the unknown. Even football competition at the moment, it's like, oh, are they gonna stop it? Are they gonna keep it coming? Like, how do you keep yourself motivated by training on unknown dates, unknown scenario of competition? Because I think this is something that is impacting a lot of people out there.
Definitely. Nobody knows what's gonna happen in the next month, years, and this there's not yet trust for people as well to join big events and all those things. And I think if you are in this path, like in this competition mode, the training is always good. It's always good to keep updates, also trainings, and keeping a stage modus sometimes is really good. I'm trying to take part of every small event and competition there might be. And yeah, I mean, the community is trying to do something, small things to not make a little big crowds. But I hope that things get better. And yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be ready next year, I think training every day from now on will be a good idea. So that's what I'm doing.
You training? I'm assuming. Do you have like a little room in the house where you train, or?
I mostly. I take a lot of time writing the concept probably. So I spend a lot of time thinking what could I do, and about the signature drinks and also the whole performance, which coffee should I use. Mostly I train routines like making espresso, timing, and trying the same thing, but getting different results. So I try to focuses on specific things like might be wrong, or talking sometimes. I'm practicing talking improving a little bit more my English, like reading books sometimes, and so it's different ways to train things that you think you might need to improve.
Well, we're practicing now then, I guess.
Yeah.
And okay, no, thank you. I think it's relevant for people at home who are also in the same shoes as yours. And you know, even I feel for the people who were supposed to do their first ever competition. You know, they might have already been a little bit nervous about it, but then, you know, they're kind of stuck in this limbo. And to kind of go back to where we started, um, how important it is for you, that background, that family coffee farm, and the connection that you have, I'm assuming, with the land, really, because it's not every day that we speak with someone who, yeah, sure, is a barista competitor, but, you know, is all the way in Austria, but also, you know, you grew up in coffee. The majority of people is like, they get into coffee by accident, you know, studying, a second job, third job, versus you just like literally were like born in coffee.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That's an advantage I really appreciate, and I'm so grateful that I was born there and I had the opportunities to move forward every year and grow every year. And I didn't have the support as much as I got at the beginning for many things, but you know, you need to pursue those things and be consistent, and being uh, being grown and born in a coffee farm was a really good advantage, and I really take this advantage. So at the beginning was like shame because I'm coming from South America, you know, people look in a different way and so on. So, but now it's like I use it as a positive way for me, and I guess many baristas would like to have this. Like now, like real baristas will love to go to coffee farm, know about coffee, or just have that experience. Things I'll tell you, like I was 5, 6 probably, and I had already planting coffee, picking coffee, climbing coffee trees. And so coffee is really in my blood. And I used that for my career as well. I used that for competition as well, like in performance, like pitch, which helped me a lot. And yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful that I could have this background and can add value to my career as well.
And how, sorry, it's a curious question more than anything. How young did you start drinking coffee? It's super interesting.
I know, like someone did that question, I think this week, last week, and in Peru, we didn't know. I mean, when I was child, I was drinking coffee since I was 5, 6 probably. It's like regular drink for us. Of course, you know, not in the amount that espresso. It's like you make a filter, then you have this essence that takes you a week probably. You just put some drops and a lot of sugar. So that was for breakfast mostly, even in school before going to school, and that was our daily drink probably.
Nice, nice. And well, Junior, we pretty much arrived at halfway through the episode, and we have a ritual question, the out of the box question.
Yeah.
Just so, if you could, who would you like to have dinner with? It can be anyone. It doesn't have to be coffee. Anyone in the world.
Yeah. A dinner, huh? Why do you pick up this question? I don't know.
Exactly for this reason.
Wow. I really admire a lot of people who are still alive and who also already passed away, but their like beliefs and thoughts are still alive. Like probably Gandhi would be someone who I really would like to meet and have some good time with coffee or tea probably with him, no? And because of the ability he has to deliver message without violence, and being there on the other side of the world could impact so many people, not just for a second that you make a news. It's something that makes an impact, and believe in that, and not just 100 millions of people. So I would like to share time with him probably. how he does, what's his thoughts behind all this.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's great. There's no right or wrong answer. It's your hypothetical dinner. So yeah, makes sense. And it's also a good question to sort of break through it. And I love
Yeah,
this
definitely.
question more. I love this question more because I hope and I think that after this, tomorrow, later on today, you're gonna like, actually, I would have
I should
always
have that.
liked to dinner with this guy or
Yeah,
this girl. And yeah, anyway, that's so you're gonna think about
definitely.
me maybe today. Um, and to sort of kind of remain geographically speaking um, in Peru, um, how if I walked in today to your home, I suppose your family house, how would they serve me coffee? Like, what's the way of them to make coffee, traditionally speaking?
Nowadays, like I visited my uncle, I think last year, something like that, or the year before. Um, they don't have this Peru, is a coffee producer country. They don't have the coffee culture that strong as in Europe or Australia or US probably. And you sometimes you might get to some place, a coffee farm, you will still finding a little uh, dose of instant coffee. So you're gonna get an instant coffee probably, and they're picking coffee as well. And but mostly they will make it this like kind of filter. They will roast now in a little like a earth pot. So they just move the whole time. There's no air control, absolutely nothing. So it will be very burned and black. Sometimes they put some spices, and yeah, I mean you will get that burnt coffee that it's with some spices inside and a lot of sugar probably
That's
already
yeah, that's cool.
pre-mixed. Yeah, so this is to keep a little bit balance probably. They put before they serve to the table, they will put sugar, so you will get already coffee with sugar. And a coffee farm I'm talking about.
Okay, no, that's good. It's good. It's I think with COVID and the almost impossible way of traveling, because right now it's pretty difficult for most people. It's sort of nice to travel for a second and imagining to be in another country and have a coffee uh, in a family context. I mean, when I think about coffee, like recently, uh, I didn't have any single origins, and I'm waiting on some coffee that my partner ordered, but and I had some blends. And it was like quite old blends, and I still made a coffee, and look, it wasn't the greatest, but I shared it with a good friend of mine who came over. So all of a sudden, that experience was so much more elevated. The conversation was distracting me by the notes or by how maybe not that clear that coffee was. Uh, but at the end, it didn't matter. So I think that family gathering, uh, getting, connecting, it's so good. Like, if I was in a context of visiting a country like, let's say, Peru, I wouldn't necessarily care too much about having super sugary, dark, but bitter, but sweet coffee. I think that element is something that it's difficult to describe and it's difficult to transmit unless you really leave it on your skin.
Definitely. That's something that probably in time will change in coffee producers countries where coffee it should be culture, it should be this time, it's a moment, and it's just not a drink that you can drink with some bread or something. I think coffee is this part where like any part of the world, like when you work in an office, like you are so tired, so done, so stressful, and said, you know what, I just need coffee. You gave 15 minutes to have this moment, this time, and this time needs to be the most relaxing and enjoyable moment. So when you go to the coffee shop, the barista needs to create that atmosphere where this 15 minutes is valuable, it's worth it to take it, and you want to have it. Not just because of the caffeine or coffee, but it's just the whole experience. So the same thing in the coffee farm. It happens that they have another culture, like I don't know, but chewing coca, let's say they take a lot of those in the highlands, or any other things, and coffee should go this, and I hope that with the generation changing, with the new wave coming, and now people more into coffee, they are trying to bring it back home, and there's a lot of promotion as well about it. So I hope things change and they change to culture to have this tradition with a cup of coffee.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of coaches and speaking of coffee scene, you're in Vienna. How is the coffee scene in Austria? Do you think that Austria is renowned to be quite cosmopolitan, especially the city you're in? What's the coffee scene like? What are people brewing at home? What are people ordering in the cafes? What is it like? Again, we're now traveling from one destination. We're going from Peru to Austria, which we're lucky to have you there.
Sorry, were you already in Peru?
Oh, as in now, we're now moving from Peru to Austria. What is it like?
The same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here already more or less 4.5 years, and since I moved, but I was coming before as well. And the first time I came to Vienna, exactly to this city, there were I count the coffee shops, how many there were, and there were like barely 12 coffee shops probably back in 2014, 13, and now there is around, probably counting all of them, like good coffee shops, 20 probably. So it didn't grow much faster, but it got stronger with the community, which is more helpful, like more quality than quantity. And yeah, I mean, so far they just realized the new chapter, so this is an amazing team as well now. So looking forward for this year. And there are some coffee shops that are adding value to this community, and also people, baristas, passionate baristas, not just in Vienna, also in all regions in Salzburg. There's really great people, Innsbruck as well. But this is a new generation, as you know that we are we are neighbors with Italy. So all these countries that are close to Italy, like France, Switzerland, Austria, are influenced by this Italian coffee culture. So, and also the people here in Austria generally, it's very straight. So it's very hard to let them try at least. No, they are not open to try. If you will try, you're giving a chance as well to change probably. No, but if you don't want to try, that's quite hard for the new wave to change people's taste in other ways. But yeah, it's doing well so far. It's growing, and we hope it just needs time. Just the new generation will start looking for quality, healthy.
Have you noticed with the lockdown back in March, maybe this new generation being more curious around brewing at home? Have you noticed that pattern of people sort of missing the coffee shops and brewing more coffee at home, or have you seen this trend in Austria?
Yeah, there is a lot of positive things happened in this time. Like a lot of people order online because they couldn't visit any coffee shop, and still now as well, people's making home office a lot. So people is more into brewing at home machines. I have two friends who sells espresso machines, home machines, and they say, wow. In quarantine, and also after quarantine, there was ourselves, even though we were closed at the online shop, they were doing very well. And yeah, you can see how that impact to people's thoughts as well. And also in one way, for them, they said it's quite cheap as well, because you invest one for machine or for a filter, and then you just buy one 250 grams and you have for a couple of cups. I mean, yeah, it's growing, huh?
Okay, good. Yeah, no, good. I think it's interesting again to sort of see the positives, because obviously there's some negative impacts of the pandemic. But one of the positive that I'm noticing by talking with more and more people is exactly more and more brewers, home brewers experimenting, and my hope is that once things reopen wherever you are in the world, I mean, we're still in lockdown in Melbourne, so that's why I'm putting context. Maybe, you know, the next time they go to the coffee shop, they will not like the coffee because it's too bitter, or they will appreciate more the job of the baristas because all of a sudden they're like, wow, hang on, I just got this amazing coffee, and at home it takes me this many minutes and it's nowhere near as good. And hopefully, again, appreciating quality will drive people to be more conscious on what they buy and what they purchase, which ultimately, because that's where I'm going, is will help everybody into the chain all the way to the farm. That's my hope. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm sure that some big companies are selling lots of capsules as well, but that's my hope with the home brewers for sure.
Yeah, they will take a time as well to, you know, if they buy the bag, they will read the origin. They will read probably if the roaster or the coffee shop is giving the right message in that packaging. They will take the time to read and appreciate those values that the barista or the coffee shop is making, how they taste that coffee and how they make it at home. You know, these little details, it will create an interest for them and start asking and start giving the value to that product that has a long story, just not the barista, also until the farm.
And I also, yes, and I'm hoping that there are always going to be some people, and especially when it comes to a lockdown situation where, you know, whether we like it or not, we're humans and we all like to be a little bit alternative. We like to be a little bit cool. We like, you know, to have a certain impression on our friends. So I think the lockdown has given time to do those researches and reading, like you said. Then you may have an impact of someone like, hey, you know what, when I'm going to have people over, I'm going to have a certain type of equipment. I'm going to have a certain type of coffee. I want to talk about it, and maybe not fall for the obvious, most common big names. So maybe the extra time will allow them to sort of go, well, do I really want to buy this super commercial stuff that everybody buys, or maybe I can do some digging again? That's my hope. And yeah, that's we'll see, I guess, what will happen there. And in terms of, you know, when it comes to coffee, what do you drink at home? Because we've been talking about everybody else's, but what about you? What's your go-to?
I mean, I love espresso. That's will be my favorite, and I black coffee a lot. Of filter. I enjoy everything actually. I really enjoy it. I'm really careful with milk drinks, but I drink it when it is necessary. Yeah, black coffee. I love it, and espresso. I'm more into probably like Central America, South American coffees. I still appreciate the South African, their amazing coffee. I just had one Ethiopia, so I drink all of them. Espresso is my biggest.
Yeah, it's interesting because before the lockdown, there you go, hands-on experience. I barely brewed at home because I just prefer going out, meeting with my friends, feeling the vibes, and having espresso, which obviously I don't have a machine for it. It's just out of budget at the moment. But today I went to visit a friend of mine. He just opened another shop. He's quite the coffee shop. Yeah. Anyway, bless him. And I had an espresso, and I was like, man, I miss this. Like because it's been filtered. I love filter, but there's something about double espresso that you don't get in filter the same way as you don't get what you get in filters in an espresso. So, yeah, but that was interesting because I was like, wow, I think it's been more than a month that I've had my last espresso, just because I refused to have them in takeaway cups, and now that's how they give it to you. But it was his shop, so it was, anyway, we're not going to say it because it's recorded, but there was a little cup, I suppose. And you just mentioned, you know, your son, and you just mentioned how much dedication and hours the process of growing into the coffee career. How is the balance with career and family?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's hard to explain in a way, but I will make it best way. It's it takes time to have a balance in life. Like we have certain things that happen in our whole life, like make a big change. Like I don't know, uh, moving away, getting married, having a kid, opening a business. So those are changes that you do it one, you have this impact, and then it needs to take a time until it goes back again in the line. No? And I did all of these four things in a year, so the impact was huge. And so I got married, I got the child, I got the open, I moved to Vienna, so it was really shaking. And we have some issues there with the relationship. I'm divorced um, already a month ago, and but the time with my son, I'm trying to get enough time on a new job, and with this Corona things, and it's hard to get a job as well at the moment who can take you full time because nobody knows what's gonna happen. They are talking about the second lockdown here, but yeah, I mean, it is hard to find a balance if you're doing a lot. And if you focus on one thing 100%, the second thing will not be 100% probably. So this life balance, what we call, it's, it is like, I always take as an example when you are taking off a plane, you will have a waiting time, you will have a taking off time where it's rough. And once you get the high that it requires to get the balance, you can chill out. But in that journey to take off, it's many things can happen. You know? And the idea is to keep moving forward. You know, I think Einstein said something like, if you want to have a balance, keep moving.
I love
So
that, I kind of want to complete the circle, which is, you know what, even once the plane lands, there is still stuff to do. It's not like you arrive, like you gotta get off. Well, you gotta wait, get off, pick up your luggages, work out how to order an Uber or a taxi. So yeah, it's a constant moving journey. And
yeah,
yeah, I
definitely.
like what you're saying. Look, sorry to hear about that, but obviously that's private life. And I think, look, sort
No,
of
no,
moving even into yeah, I suppose your son. I think it's important to sort of speak around this topic because I think I want to encourage. I guess you want to encourage people to understand that you can have a coffee dream, a coffee career,
yeah,
and everything else. Like you will never be ready. That's something I learned years ago. A good friend of mine, he's in his 50s, and back then I was like 21, and it's like, you know, I was super naive at talking about kids, and you know, I was like, oh, when I'm ready, you know, and he's like, you never be ready. Like
no,
no one ever be ready to have kids, no matter how much money in the bank you have. I mean, that helps, but there's just you would never. So I think the message here is no matter what career you choose, no matter what path you want to sort of go through, you know, it's something that's going to be, you know, it's going to be new, and it's there's a non-return policy there. You know, you have to.
no, definitely not. I'm
It's,
like, it is, everybody has different paths and different ways, different opportunities. And even though you have the best atmosphere of best family, there's always something gonna come up, you know, it's not easy. And and yeah,
that's same as the plane when there's a little bit of turbulence. You just gotta,
keep moving, you know?
and I think this is actually quite, yeah. I think that we often forget the instruction when the crew on the airline tell us what to do in case of emergency, which in the case of turbulence and oxygen masks coming down, you need to really take good care of yourself first before taking care of others. So I think that going back to your analogy of the plane and, situations that come up in life and things that happen, yeah, taking good care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually. If someone is
Definitely.
spiritual, I think it's paramount. I think it's super, super, super necessary. Yeah, very important. Mm.
Yeah. I mean, so I didn't think about uh blind hostess in that way, no? But yeah, it's true. I mean, if they tell you that, and I I imagine them as a coach, let's say, no, when they talk to you, when they tell you when there's turbulence, it's like someone in your life when you have problems, telling you advices and things like that. I mean,
Mm,
it's a nice comparison, yeah, definitely.
yeah, yeah, definitely something to think about. I think that, especially with just in general, humans have been great at not taking care of. I mean, it's difficult, and there's a lot of things happening in people's lives, and we can't generalize, but we are. Um, you know, yeah, it's easy to forget to look after ourselves, and also we tend to be quite hard on ourselves. And oh, today I felt lazy. Today I didn't do as much as I was expecting to. But look, I always use the push-up example. You might not have a full workout and do only one push-up. If you do a push-up every day, it's 365 push-ups at the end of the year, which is, try to do 365 push-ups in a day. Oh, it's a big struggle. So I think
Yeah,
that we need to kind of be more gentle with ourselves and taking good care
definitely. Yeah.
of our persona first. So yeah. Anyway, that's just a reminder for myself and anyone who wants to take it on board, of course. Junior, we kind of went sorry, went a little bit into
Well,
a bit of interesting spots where it got me thinking. But I just had a look at the clock and we got about 8-9 minutes left. So thank you
okay.
so much for being here. I want to kind of ask you a couple of last questions so that you got
Definitely.
plenty of time. Um, I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy. And what's your coffee mission and what's next? Well, actually, what's your coffee mission? That's just a big question.
Um, well, it's something when I already had open to business, and my vision didn't change, and now I got a new job and my mission's still the same, whatever value. And then at the end is just I base in three things more or less, and one of them is purpose. Like, and purpose is like take care of the people you work with, take care of the people who you sell to, take care of the community you um, work with and we live in, and take care of the environment you are working. And it's in general purpose why we do this. And the second will be people as well, people who work with you, give them value, as I mentioned before. Let them feel that their work that they're doing has more value behind the physical work. And lastly, but for in the case of business, is just not to make revenue money. Making revenue is quite good, but at the end is a fuel for keep going this mission, this vision, and in general of these three things is to create value for everyone, for the baristas, as you mentioned, that a barista cannot have a good salary, but if you support, give them the right tools to compete, they will grow and grow and be more professional, and that's a value they will use it in the time. And this is internal, and once someone or somebody gets a big value, to use that to create an impact in the community. I don't know, maybe someone wins the World Barista Champion and use that to go to coffee farms promoting coffee from producers. There's many ways to support, and yeah, that's more or less is to create value for the community, for myself, and for people.
Well, I think I can't top that off. I think it's beautiful, and I do value what you just said. Pardon the pun, but I think, yeah, that's a very strong message for people to let sink and digest. So thank you for sharing that. It was beautiful, and yeah, yeah. I don't want to top it off. I think that you've been quite, you know, direct on it. So yeah, I think adding value is definitely up there into the top 10 of what missions should be looking like. Junior, it's been an absolute pleasure, a real treat to have you
Thank
here,
you.
and
Pleasure
I
was
look
mine.
forward to meet you one day in person at some sort of coffee expo, or I don't know, maybe when I travel back, when I'm allowed to travel back home, maybe, or when I move back home, because my plan is to move back, maybe I can do a little, not maybe, I would love to do a little Europe coffee tour. Anyway, we'll see, but
Yep,
definitely let's keep in touch, and thank you so much for
definitely.
popping in. Really
Thank
appreciate your
you,
time.
and keep doing that value creating this loud message. And yeah, thank you for
We'll try.
inviting us. Thank you for everything. And yeah, happy to see you soon as well. Thank you very much,
Thank
and
you. For sure, man.
good night. Eh?
Yeah, well, have a good day for you, friend.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Ciao, Minko.
Uh, there you have it, guys. Another episode. I don't like numbers, but I'm feeling quite special today. It's episode 89. It's a big number. You don't realize until you say it. There's been 89 amazing people. Today was Junior. So I just want to say thank you to Junior now, and thank you to all you all who were here and stayed here, and who will listen to this and to the former podcast. If you're new, again, thank you. If you're not new, thank you again. And as usual, feel free to take a screenshot throughout the show, and or share the IGTV, or share a screenshot in your stories. Obviously, uh, like Junior said, it's about adding value. That's what we're trying to do. It's about community. It's about coffee people. And if we can sort of add value to anybody, then we try. And no matter what we, no matter how bad is my English or whoever I'm talking to, this is what we're trying to do. We're not trying to change the world. We're not trying to preach. I'm a firm believer that there is no right or wrong. So you know, disclaimer, do you do what you gotta do. I do believe what we were kind of talking about the airplane, and the importance of self-care. I know it's always easy to say it. It's one of those things people say, oh, love yourself. But I just think generally that we sort of get that message lost sometimes, and it's a nice reminder to just say, hey, look, you matter. No matter what you think about yourself, no matter what situation you're in, you're special and you're loved. Um, Not to be cheesy, it's true. Doesn't matter if you have 17, 70, or 700 people who love you. Still, you are you. So it's a good reminder. And look, if you are into a certain mood, and if you are feeling a certain way, or if something happening, look, um, self-soothing activities, it's something that I've been told before, and I have said before, you know, treat yourself if you can, of course. Order a special coffee, if you're into coffee. Have a nice warm bath with some, I don't know, those mineral salts, good stuff for your skin. Get yourself a treatment at the spa. Whatever it is that you fancy, whether it's, I don't know, a massage or tropical fruits or a good dinner. Uh, you know, we're here for a very small amount of time, and you know, self-soothing, a couple of hours, distract yourself, and yeah, uh, went a little bit deep, didn't I? Anyway, you get the picture. Again, thank you all, and a big shout out to everybody who's still here. Tanti, uh, super supportive. Thank you, Michael, Bulldog, Pablo. We got history. Some you love, my man. Maureen, Andre, Rusbe, and Junior. I think is still in the house. And whoever is listening to this podcast, in form of a podcast, thank you for being here all the way till the end. Now's my son off. Take care. Keep drinking coffee. Good coffee, likely. And I'll see you next week, episode 90. So there's an emphasis on 90. So you'll figure it out who it's gonna be. I'll see you then. Ciao.